Hi, I'm Mr. Mitchell. I'm the social worker here at 12 Corners Middle School and Brighton High School. So I'll hopefully be seeing you some sooner than and some later. And I work with many different students in our student population.
So Lance, why is Black History Month important to you?
Black History Month is important to me because of it really gives our community an opportunity to see some of the great artists, some of the people in literature and political figures, advocates. As you know, probably more athletes get the notoriety on television. You'll see the LeBron James and Steph Curry or the Oprahs or Kevin Hart or David Chappelle. But there's many others to our history that that have helped them to even with their own talents, and it really provided a lot to our community.
I am Jessica Cordova. I am a FRES 5th grade teacher. Hi guys, and this is
her dad. I am Jesse Cardin. This is my youngest baby girl. I am officially retired, but not quite. And I'm glad I got the opportunity to talk to you.
So why is Black History Month important to the two of you?
I think I'll start out.
Okay.
Because of my seniority, I remember things about Black History Month before it was Black History Month. And there seemed to be, if I start back in the 70s, a period of time when we really did put an emphasis on the discovery of history we had never learned about being an African American or being former slaves. And we had songs, the Black National Anthem, which I'm not sure too many people know or even hear today. But in the schools that I went to, we learned them and we sang them at certain occasions. Having been a former teacher, we stopped doing that a long time ago. So that's my perspective. There's a sense of being 70 that I'd like to see brought back to young people, like my grandkids, an understanding in depth of why did it matter that there was ever a Black History Month? Aren't you just American? Yes. But the way we told the story, in early years, our story wasn't included in the history books that we read. And so I think there's, since I'm still here, I have a somewhat of a opportunity and if not an obligation to pass it on in a positive way. That's my start, but you.
Well, I think having been raised by you and Mom, the emphasis on just being who you are and being excellent and excelling in what you do, that was always first and foremost in our house, and honor and your word. And so for me, Black History Month, was something that seemed abstract at times, especially being one of the only Black children in a lot of my classrooms. And there wasn't a huge emphasis at it at school growing up too much. There was in the home, and I learned about a lot from my dad and from my mom. And so now as a teacher, I think it's so important that we continue to open up this dialogue and so that all children can be aware of the history of African Americans. I think it's so vital. I think it brings so much to our community and to our school and to our lives.
Well said.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tamika Wagstaff. I work at Rochester Institute of Technology with college students, and my son Mason is in 3rd grade at FRES.
And I'm Dr. Marla Washington. I got a couple of hats I wear. I wear a couple of hats. So one of the hats is diversity consultant here at the district, at the Brighton Central School District. Also pastor of Seneca United Methodist Church in Arundecoit. So it's good to be here. My child grew up in the district and it's gone, and I'm happy about that.
So why do you think we should celebrate Black History Month?
Yeah, Black History Month is a time to celebrate our unsung heroes, individuals from the past who have trailblazed for us different things, that have created different things, who have really stood for important causes. And it's really a time to just focus in on them and all the work that they've done, people in the past, the present, and even thinking about our future leaders of tomorrow.
And I also think that it's important to understand one's identity. I think it's very important to really get to know yourself through others and to see yourselves in the view of others and their successes, but also their struggles, you know, and what they've been through. You know, those who just happen to be in the history books or in books that you read, that did not get there just because they were just of luck. They got there because they struggled and they had some mishaps, but they didn't stop. They didn't give up, and they worked and prevailed to be in the place of history where they are now. So I think for me will always be about identity, and it's a way to understand and celebrate, really have a good time and party about what it means to have some difficulties, but overcoming it and go forward from there.
Hi, FRES students. So I'm Tylese Dorsey Patros. I'm a Spanish teacher here in the high school. So I'll see you in, quite a few years. But I just wanted to say that this is a great time that I'm going to be able to spend with you all.
So, Ms. Dorsey Patros, can you explain to us why you think Black History Month is important to celebrate?
I think Black History Month is very important. I will say, it's in February, and what I always have found special about February is that that's when we also celebrate Valentine's Day, Friendship Day, and a lot of Black history is not celebrated throughout the year. So this is a time when we get a chance to focus on those historical accomplishments and those contributions that Black people have made to the United States. And one of the things that I've always loved was when I was growing up, we never had any kind of Black History Month celebrations in school, never, ever. And so you all are really lucky that you get this opportunity to learn more about others and to learn more about some of your classmates and some of your teachers and their backgrounds.
My name's Christopher Ross. I've lived in Brighton for about 6 years now, and I have a daughter who's a second grader at Council Rock. I'm originally from California, and I work as a nurse.
Chris, why do you think it's important to celebrate Black History Month?
Well, I think most importantly is understanding that Black history is American history. You can't ignore the experiences of people who have been in this country since 1619 and now number a little over 37 million of our citizens, and hope to know American history and the experiences of Americans in this country. You really can't understand American history, at least not accurately or completely, without understanding the contributions of African Americans to our country. I think not understanding it can create problems or result in miseducation of children and adults, and that can create problems in our society. I think of an example when my daughter was in preschool. She was sent home with an assignment to talk about your family's immigration story, and to talk about when your grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents had immigrated to the United States and what they brought with them. Think about that, and what would you pack in a suitcase if you were then coming here? And so I had to go to the school and explain that contrary to common conceptions of America, we're not a nation of immigrants, that Black people did not immigrate here. We were brought here by force. And so our understanding of American history is different from that common understanding of American history. So I explained that to the teachers, and they were very open and listened, and they changed the assignment. But I think if the teachers had that understanding of American history at the beginning, of Black history at the beginning, they may not have issued that assignment in the first place, or they would have crafted it in a different way that would have been more inclusive of all the children in the class. And it's not just African Americans who are immigrants. I mean, Native Americans were here as well. And they are citizens of our country and were here initially, so they don't have an immigration story either. Similar for Mexican Americans in Southwest, what is now the Southwest of the United States, who became Americans by conquest as opposed to immigration. So when you give assignments like that, you're excluding, certain members of your class, or you're making them feel different from the other students in the class. So we just need to be mindful of that. And I think having an understanding of Black history or the history of Mexican Americans or Native Americans helps with that. And another example, my grandfather, well, let me just back up. So understanding Black history can also help us understand how racism is detrimental to both people of color as well as white people. After the attack by Japan on Pearl Harbor in 1941, my grandfather, who was a Black doctor in Wilmington, North Carolina, went down to sign up to volunteer to serve as a doctor in the military. So he went in, they took his information, and about a week later, he got a letter from the Secretary of War, who now is called the Secretary of Defense, saying, thank you, Dr. Upperman, for your interest. We have no need for any Negro doctors at this time. So what you have is something that happened that threatened the very viability of our nation, a severe threat, physical threat to our survival as a nation. But our country said, we don't want any Black hands touching any white soldiers, regardless of how wounded they are and that you're trained to help. We don't need your help at this point. So you could have had white soldiers who were dying or had delayed care because our government decided that we did not need Black doctors to help. So again, having an understanding of Black history helps us ask questions about the past, and hopefully not make similar mistakes going forward, that when our country needs all of its people to contribute to solve a problem, that all of our people have the opportunity to do so.